Favre rolling and throwing under pressure, and it's intercepted. DEION, he may score right away.
I wanted to replay the college football career of Deion Sanders, aka Primetime. Deion is arguably the greatest cornerback to ever play the sport of football, and he was an electric return man, routinely taking kicks to the crib. But before he became a Hall of Famer in the NFL and a legend at Florida State, Deion was at North Fort Myers High School. Even though he played on both sides of the ball as a quarterback and corner, I'm going to focus on Deion's story as a defensive back. Deion wasn't necessarily known as a great tackler, but when the opportunity presented itself, he was going to make plays. My man must have had a brain fart here because he was covering the flat when a guy was running right past him. The very next play, Deion had to take his frustrations out on the running back, and he will make this huge tackle for loss, eventually leading to a 4th and 24 by Brent High School. And even though he probably should have batted this one down on 4th and 24, he would get the interception. On the very next possession, Deion would do a great job of baiting the quarterback and intercepting this one again, putting North Fort into a great position to score before the half. They'd go on to win that game on the back of Deion Sanders. And we knew Deion was an electric punt returner, but I'm not gonna lie, this man was kind of struggling to get anything really crazy going in the return game. Thankfully, the offense was pretty solid and would finally score here. But this play right here is exactly why DBs cannot go inside and have to set the edge. On 3rd and 9, Deion would do a great job of covering 2 people and forcing the punt on 4th. The defense was doing incredible, and another stop on 3rd down would help get North Fort the ball back and score before the half. Deion would let the receiver get behind him on this one, but wouldn't be able to complete the diving catch. And finally, in the 4th quarter with the 3-possession lead, North Fort would put this game away. Deion Sanders was quickly becoming one of the best defensive backs in the country, and with his teammate being a shutdown corner himself, this defense was primed to win the state championship in Florida. Prime still had kick return and punt return duties, but again, he just wasn't finding the groove yet, and things only got worse from there, because in the second half, when he had a chance to make a stop on 3rd down in the open field, the running back was spin off of him. But Deion's defensive teammates picked up the slack, and the safety came from all the way across the other side of the field to make this interception. In the 4th quarter, with the game on the line, the defense made one final stop, and North Fort would get their 3rd win of the season, setting up this matchup against 2-1 Sunrise, a high school who had a bunch of talent on their team. Deion was taking care of more than just his own responsibilities, and that's part of why he was struggling at times. But this time around, he was in the perfect spot. Unfortunately, on 3rd and 11, he got too greedy, and the quarterback and receiver connected on a perfectly thrown ball. It was tied at 7 just before halftime, and this PBU by Prime would set up a punt. Even though Deion almost fumbled it and gave it right back to the other team, the offense was finally starting to hit its stride and would convert this 3rd and 1 into a touchdown, giving them the lead. And on 4th and 2, you know how this defense gets down as they'd make the huge stop. I can't believe how Deion Sanders' team would start this game off. This interception would put North Fort Myers in great field position, but unfortunately the offense couldn't capitalize on that situation, and after North Fort went up 7-3, Haines City would score this touchdown to regain the lead. Neon Deion was still the man in the kick return game, and he would finally get something going, this time stiff-arming a guy to the ground to get it past the 40-yard line. But he was absolutely selling on the defensive side of the ball and would let up this long touchdown. Of course, it was right before the half, and now Haines City had all the momentum. Deion getting trucked like a little boy was a microcosm for that game, but my dog still got his first Florida offers, but it's definitely not a good look that he's out here fumbling punts. Thankfully, he recovered it and nothing really bad happened out of it. And this was a defensive battle all the way through the first half. I mean, that might have been the first tackle that I seen Deion make in like 3 weeks. My dog was struggling, but you gotta celebrate the little successes. And of course he would go right back to getting trucked. I mean, this was crazy. This return was nice and all, but the offense didn't do anything with it, and Deion was frustrated. He would go and lower his head on this receiver. He smoked his ass, but the very next time he had a chance in the open field, you know this man can't make 2 tackles in a row. He got absolutely trucked. Nah, the way he got trucked was absolutely disrespectful. And of course, Kendall was shut out North Fort Myers. This was the final game of the regular season, and Deion Sanders and his high school were on a crazy losing streak. Deion would take his longest kick return of the season thus far into enemy territory, but of course the offense wasn't doing anything with this sorry ass offense. The Miami Beach QB was toting it like his name was Daniel Jones. I honestly didn't know white quarterbacks could be this fast, and Deion just barely caught him by the shoestrings. Miami Beach was 0-6. and North Fort Myers was looking to not lose their 4th straight game going into the playoffs. I'm not sure if there's ever been a team that had negative momentum going into postseason play, but North Fort Myers would probably be the team that it would be. Their only offense was DEION putting them into a great field position and them finally getting something going, but it was just far too late. And before you knew it, the first round of the playoffs were here, and DEION would start things off with a great punt return. I thought for sure he had a chance to crib this one, but he get caught from behind. And this man was finally making an impact. He was all over the field making plays. I guess he's just the type of player that's going to show up in big moments, like he did here on this PBU, even though his butterfinger ass should have caught that ball. The offense would go ahead and score right before the half, and once again in the 4th quarter to extend their lead to 3 touchdowns. DEION and the defense were finally rolling. This 3rd down stop was big to basically secure this game, but just to put icing on the cake, they would force a fumble on this play, and DEION would go ahead and scoop it and take it all the way for the touchdown and putting scouts around the country on notice. North Fort Myers would snap their 4-game losing streak. In the second round of the playoffs, North Fort Myers was already up 14-0 against Lake Wales, and the defense was just getting started. Deion Sanders would actually come off the edge and force this safety to go up 16, and when Lake Wales had to punt it to them, Deion Sanders was obviously back there to field it, and he would do a great job of getting everything that he could. North Fort Myers was on their way to shutting out Lake Wales, the undefeated team, and this stop on 3rd down would be helpful. However, on another critical 3rd down, Lake Wales would take this run and they would end up taking it the distance to end the drought. Deion wasn't the one returning it on this play, but he would still make his presence known as he would lay this kid out and stare at him something crazy. Deion was out here putting kids in the spin cycle and he just couldn't stop spinning, but the Lake Wales offense ran a great play here and Deion tried to avoid running into the other receiver, which ended up in this touchdown. Lake Wales would convert the 2-pointer, but it was too little too late, and Deion's team would advance to the next round. And the winner of this next game will be playing in the Florida State Championship and a chance to cement their legacy. Primetime Deion Sanders would start this state semifinal playoff game against Miami Beach with this incredible kick return. He would just barely get caught by his shoestrings, but the offense would capitalize with a field goal. A few plays later, Deion was embarrassed to not be able to bring down this quarterback, and he had to take it out on the punt return. After struggling for most of the season trying to get anything going in the return game, Deion was finally putting it together, and this type of momentum would carry well into college. The offense would again settle for a field goal, so it was still a 1-possession game, and Deion and the defense needed to step up, but they couldn't do anything about this tough-ass quarterback who would run it in himself. Deion would do what he does best, and another great return would help set up North Fort Myers into another field goal situation. I'm sure they wish that they were getting touchdowns, but getting the lead back was huge, and after another big defensive stand, the North Fort Myers offense would have another opportunity to go and score, this time not settling for a field goal, and would actually score a touchdown to try and put this game away. This interception at the end of the 4th quarter by Deion was just the icing that they needed, and the big time performance would earn him a scholarship from Florida State in Miami. The Florida State Championship game started off with Deion having the ball in his hands on this kick return. He wouldn't do anything crazy with it, so of course the offense didn't have any momentum to go and get points on the board. North Naples would go ahead and attack Deion Sanders, who was one of the top cornerbacks in the country. He would hold his own, but they would be able to run it in for a touchdown anyway. North Fort Myers would tie it back up, and late in the 2nd quarter, this stop on 3rd down would force a field goal. Deion again was getting a little bit greedy, but this time it would pay off as he would help make this tackle in the backfield. But after being down by 3 in the 2nd half, North Fort Myers needed to get something going on the offensive side of the ball, but they just couldn't score points. Deion and the defense were doing everything that they could, and they were making big stop after big. North Naples would end up deep in North Fort Myers territory, and Deion would put things in his own hands and make this tackle for loss. The offense was in do or die mode, and they would start diming up throws. With the way that they were playing, it looked like we were at least headed for overtime, if not a game-winning touchdown, but this stop on 4th down would end their dreams. If you got this far, please subscribe and let me know where you think Deion Sanders should go to college.